House Repairs. Today I'm going to do the passenger side door lock on this 2010 Jeep Patriot. We'll see how we get on. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Let's get on with it. Okay, looking at this job, looks like we've got to get the door panel off to gain access to the lock assembly. And the actual lock assembly looks like it's held in with two set bolts, or three set bolts there with the Torx heads. But we've got to get in the back first. So let's start removing the interior door card. Let's start off in there. The little cap there. A little bit of jiggery pokery, we get that one off. And then there's a Torx screw there. So we'll start with undoing that, and then we'll work our way around the door panel. So we've disconnected that now. That's released there. I've got a feeling on this car, I've got a prise in here, around here. And I think this section of the door panel lifts or drops. I don't think you need to remove the whole door panel on this car. So we'll have a try at that now. I'll get a pry bar and start prising it off. Yeah, so I was right. There's some clips in there that you prise off. There we go. So they become apparent. So it's these clips go into those holes there. So you're just prizing off those clips. They just latch in. So now we're inside. Yeah, so it is just this section of the door panel on this Jeep Patriot that you remove. I think on a lot of other cars you'd have to remove the whole door panel. I'll get you off the stand now and we'll have a little look in there. So in there, that's the lock we're after. That's what we're trying to replace there. Don't know if I can get it to focus. This assembly here, there's the electrical plug to the central lock-in. There's the rods. If I operate this rod, look, the button, you can see all it does is operates a little lever. So we've got to disconnect all that. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you that with a camera while I'm working, but we'll have a go. Here's the replacement lock. It's a second-hand unit off of a scrapped car. I've just offered it up before I start taking anything out, and it does look the same. It looks the same as the component in the door, so it's we can start taking it out now. There's the electrical plug. I'm finding it very difficult to get the camera in the back of the door so you can see, but there's the electrical plug there, and just in the top there is a tab, just where I'm putting my, you're getting it pushed down with the screwdriver, and that releases the electrical plug. So I don't know if I can show it now. So there's the electrical plug. I'm trying to get better lighting on it now. So it goes in that way. That's the connections that pushes in, and what you're pushing on the tab, you're pushing that pin down there. You push that down to release it. So you push that down, pull, and that releases the electrical plug. I hope that's clear, because I don't think it is very clear. Okay, I'm going to prise off this clip here now. The next thing, that clip there, it grips that rod. And you do it by getting under that tang and prising it. It just grips that rod. Get in there, prise it open. There it is. So it pops open, and that just grips that rod. So there, that's that one released. So it's that basic. That clip, that tang hinges around, and it just grips that rod in place. So you just prise it off. You think you're going to break it, so you open it up, and it releases the rod there. So that's that one taken care of. I can show you all this on the second-hand lock, the one that I'm fitting in a minute, so to make it a bit clearer. I don't know if it's clear, but when I've released that, that went well. Not sure if this is clear, but when I've released that green one, there's a case there. You got to pull it out of its clip, and it hinges up. That hinges up out the way, and that reveals another rod there. That rod in the back that you've got to disconnect. So I've disconnected all the rods to the lock. There's 4 rods in total, 4 rods that attach to the lock, plus the electrical plug there. There's the blue one at the back there, and then the green one down below. There's a green one tucked away in behind there, and a white one there. I'll cut a piece of coat hanger, and I'll try to demonstrate this so that it's easier to visualize. So the next thing on this is to undo the 3 Torx bolts there, and then that should release the lock. We'll try to wiggle him out. But this plastic section here, this nylon, is attached to the lock. It wraps around the lock body. So we'll see what happens. Okay, let's just wind these out.
These are just the securing screws for the lock assembly. So when we undo these, the lock should become free inside the door. Yeah, you can see it moving there.
Yeah, so there's the lock moving around. So I think we've disconnected it electrically and mechanically. So I think it's just that nylon bracket that was in there retaining it to the interior of the door panel. So I'll take you around and we'll have a look at that now. Just looking at this nylon bracket that it wraps around the lock. I thought it was just these clips, but it's not. There's a Torx screw in there, in behind, so you have to get into the back and wind the screw out that attaches this bracket to the door panel. Yeah, so there he is, the offending item. So that's now released. Oh yeah, it's now released that nylon section. So hopefully we should be able to wiggle the lock out from here. The lock is now free. I've just got to wiggle this rod out of the lock. Just a bit of jiggery pokery, and then it'll be released. It'll be removed from the vehicle. After a little bit of wrestling and wiggling, there is the lock assembly. So the wiring loom is attached to that nylon bracket as well. So there's that nylon bracket I was talking about. It's attached up there. So you've just got to prise that one up, and then the whole thing slides along the lock. It slides off lock. It'll become apparent when you do the job. And then I've got the new lock, or the replacement lock, sat alongside it, so I'll transfer it directly across so I can't get confused. So here's the nylon mounting bracket I was talking about. So that has to go on to, this is the replacement lock, the second-hand unit. So there's a track there, and there's what it slides into. So that has to slide into that track. Don't know if you can see it. And this one at the same time slides on this track here. So you have to get them. So this one slides down, that one slides along. There, hear it latch. You hear it latch in. And that's that retained. And that was the bracket that goes on there with the Torx. So I don't know if that's clear. There's a picture of how it should look when you put it back in the door. Okay, so I'll show you how the rods are attached to the door lock assembly. I've removed the push button, the lock unlock button from the door, just to show you. And what you've got is this metal rod. It feeds into there, in through that hole. Feeds in, and then you latch the catch down over it, and it snaps in place. So that's it held now. That's how the door lock operates. So when you're removing this in the door panel, when you don't know what you're looking at, you prise that apart like that, using a little terminal screwdriver or something, pocket screwdriver. So you uncatch it, and then you slide the rod out. That's how it's held in. So they're quite basic. There's another type here, this green catch. I'm not sure if it's focusing. There, that one literally, I think I showed that in the door. That one literally, you lay it in and it clamps it. It clamps it in place when it snaps shut. So all you do is prise that tang to lift this open. It sounds easy here on the bench, but in the door, it's quite a struggle. It is a fiddle. It is quite a fiddly job to remove these rods and get them all back into place afterwards. You are jamming your hands in the door. It is quite difficult. Right, so let's get on with the reinstallation. Thought I'd just show you inside the door with no lock in there. That's what you can expect to see in there. So that's where the lock mounts, and then the rods hanging down. So that's all the rods that you'll see. They've all got to be connected back up to the lock. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to put it on a tripod, but I'm not sure how clear it's going to be showing it. Okay, so there's the lock. The loom is attached to that nylon bracket, so that can be plugged in now. There's no stopping us plug that in. You hear it latch. You need to hear it click. So now we'll feed it in the door through the maze of rods. And it's best to couple up the rods now while the lock is maneuverable. You don't want to catch the bolts into the end of the door first, because then you can't move the lock around to gain access to the clips. So I'll do the clips now, put all the rods on, and then we'll secure the lock to the door last. Okay, I've managed to get the lock assembly back in. This is the sort of thing you can expect. Some bit of blood on the knuckles where you're trying to jam stuff in. I just thought I would show here, this is the way it's done. So that catch, if that's focused, there. So that rod slides into there, and then that hook. So it slides in there, and then that hook goes up, and that latches around the rods, and that's how they're held in. So when you're pulling the rod, so that's how it's held in. They're all secured in there. They are a struggle, they're a fight. I cannot film it, it's very difficult to film, but you will get the gist of it when you've got it apart. So it's now just put the 3 securing screws in the end of the lock and test it before you refit the door panel. So that's it. I'm going to give it a functional test now before we actually button up the door panel. So we'll just go on the key to lock, and the button's gone down, up. It's all working fine. So now I'll shut the door, get that up. So then we lock, unlock, lock, then unlock. So that's it, it's working. So I've now got to go on and do the rear door. Just a quick bit, we don't need to show this fully fitting. So those clips go into there, those press into there, and the same around the top when you put the door panel on. And the way you secure these is just to give them a whack, and they just go in all the way around. And then we just put that Torx bit back in there to secure it, and that is it, the job done. I'm on the rear door now just to show you that they're effectively the same. Three screws there, bolt, and then the same type of thing in there, where you just unearth the catch, slide the rod out. Same thing, just slightly different, but effectively it's the same job on the rear as the front. So you can do, by looking at this video, you'll be able to do the front or the rear job doors on your Jeep Patriot. So here's the 2 locks. This is the front and the rear lock, and they are very similar, but they have got differences with this latch mechanism. So if you can do the front lock, you can do the rear lock and vice versa, but they are actually different components with different part numbers. So there we go, I've replaced the lock on the passenger side door. I did the rear door as well. They are very similar, they're just slightly different. So if you can do the front one, you can do the rear one. They're very basically the same. So that's it. Hope you found it of some help. It's useful to you when you're working on your car.